I'm Rachel Simone Weil, Program Manager for Microsoft Edge DevTools. In this session, I'll be sharing how the Edge browser's recent switch to the Chromium platform has benefited not only developers who use Edge, but web development across the entire Chromium browser ecosystem and community. I'm going to give a quick tour of the new DevTools, followed by a deeper dive on some new features, as well as a preview of upcoming features. So, in case you hadn't heard, about a year and a half ago, Microsoft announced its intent to switch Edge to the Chromium platform. And of course, we've delivered on that promise since then. Not only do we have our insider channels like Canary and Dev, where you can try the latest daily or weekly builds of Edge, but we now have a stable release of Edge, which is our sort of production release. When we made the switch to Chromium, we adopted the Chromium DevTools as well, and this choice had a lot of great benefits. The Chromium DevTools are very robust. Many developers are already familiar with these DevTools if they've used browsers like Chrome in the past. But we also saw this as an opportunity for us on the Edge team to build on and contribute to this awesome platform out in the open with the community and focus on making it even better for everyone, understanding, what isn't working for users, and really with the goal of moving the web forward for everyone. So Microsoft contributors have committed over 600 changes back up to Chromium, and that's in the DevTools alone. These changes represent things that benefit all Chromium-based browsers, not just Edge. So it's a really exciting shift and an exciting time for DevTools all up. So let's jump in and play with the Edge DevTools. So I've just installed the dev or weekly build of Edge, and I'm going to go ahead and pop open the DevTools. Since this is a new install, I'm going to go set things up just the way I like them. I'm here in settings, and I'm just taking a look at the experiment section here. This is the place to look for new tools before they're released. Obviously, do what you're comfortable with. Sometimes these features are unstable, but it's a great way to get up and running with the latest features. I also like to have the DevTools in dark mode. So with this setting, I have a really nice color theme that matches the default dark theme of VS Code, which is really nice. So if you're a legacy Edge DevTools user, there are a few key differences between the old and new Edge DevTools, but for the most part, we have pretty good feature parity and of course, a number of new features as well. So let's dive into a quick tour. So I want to start here at the top left of the Edge DevTools. We have the ever popular element selection tool. But next to that, at the top right, top left, we also have the device toolbar, which is where you'll now find device emulation options for testing your web app against multiple device orientations and screen resolutions. And as we move along the right here, you can see a number of tabs, performance, memory, all of this good stuff. But there are actually even more tools that you can pop open by going to this menu at the top right, then selecting more tools and perusing the options here. For example, here's network conditions where I can set a custom user agent string, which is super handy for debugging. So there's a lot to dig into here. So if you're new to DevTools, head over to aka.ms/devtoolsdocs. We have some great documentation to help you get up and running or to give you a deeper dive into many of the new features of Edge DevTools. We also have a What's New tab directly in the DevTools to help you keep up to date on the latest changes, fixes, and new features. So you might be wondering, okay, now that Edge is based on Chromium DevTools, or Edge DevTools is based on Chromium DevTools, what exactly has Edge been doing to contribute back to the platform? So that's what I want to talk about next. As I mentioned earlier, the Edge DevTools team has made over 600 commits back up to Chromium. Those include bug fixes, UI improvements, and features from the Chromium backlog where we thought, hey, this would make a big difference to developers. Let's go and fix this. So this past year, we've really zeroed in on improving developer experience because for many web developers, DevTools is a big part of your dev environment and it should help you be productive. It shouldn't get in your way. Dare I say, it should be a delight to use. So I want to talk a little bit about how our team approached improving developer experience. So first of all, I think to date now around 200 of Microsoft's contributions back to the Chromium DevTools in the past year have been around accessibility improvements. And those are guided by the W3C's Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Accessibility is a huge focus at Microsoft broadly, and it's something that the Edge DevTools team cares a lot about because we want everyone to have access to developer technology. And anywhere we can eliminate accessibility barriers, we're definitely going to do the work to make that happen. So one thing I do want to demonstrate is what it looks like to navigate the DevTools without a mouse. So as you can see here, I'm actually moving between different tools. I'm accessing details, all just by using the keyboard. And this is great for many of our users who don't or can't use a mouse. But this is actually just one way that we addressed accessibility and productivity in the DevTools. We've also improved compatibility with screen readers, which read text aloud, and other assistive technologies. We've also added multiple ways to interpret data in the DevTools, for example, not just by color or by motion, but with multiple modalities and abilities in mind. We've also made DevTools look great for those using Windows high contrast mode, which is another accessibility feature. In fact, this change is so recent that it's actually only in Edge Canary, which is why when you look here, this is my Edge Dev build. You can see what this looks like in older builds where high contrast is not quite right. You can see the UI isn't in high contrast mode and some things look a little bit broken. So like I said, our change is so recent that it's just an Edge Canary now. So it will be rolling out to future releases soon. So let me just pull up Edge Canary. And when I open up the DevTools, you can now see that the UI really looks more like you'd expect with the menus and the UI in really nice high contrast. So this is just another example of a feature that's great for improving accessibility. I'm personally really proud of the work that we did in making DevTools more accessible because it really embodies our spirit of improving the web developer experience for everyone. And we're going to continue to listen to developers and make these tools even more accessible and inclusive. So speaking of accessibility and inclusivity, I want to share another feature that the Edge DevTools team recently put forward, and that's localization, or the ability to use the DevTools themselves in the same language as the Edge browser. So I'm going to open up the Edge browser settings and actually set my browser language to Japanese. So when I restart the browser, you can see that the language is now set to Japanese. Very cool. But the feature I want to show actually is that when I open the DevTools now, you'll see that they are also in Japanese, which is really cool. And all of the menus and things like that are actually translated. Now, of course, if you prefer to have your browser in one language and keep the DevTools in English, you can certainly do that as well. And I'll show you to do that, you'll just go to the settings. And if you can read these options, uncheck this box to disable browser matching. And now we're back in English. So before I move on, this is probably a good time for me to go back to my Edge browser settings and change the language back to English as well. So localizability, or the sort of underlying engineering work that enables localization, is something that we again contributed back to Chromium, though it's really up to each browser to decide what languages and translations they want to provide. So for Edge, we chose English, French, Korean, Japanese, Italian, Chinese, simplified and traditional, Spanish, Portuguese, German, and Russian as options for the DevTools. So these are just a few examples of features in the Edge DevTools that our team has built out in the open to empower you developers to go build what you want to build. So I love it. So now that you've seen some of the most recent features of Edge DevTools, I want to give you a preview of what's coming next in Edge DevTools. So what you're about to see is a collection of prototypes and works in progress, but it's Microsoft Build. I'm just too excited not to share these. So for those of you who are early adopters, who like to tinker and try things while they're in preview, again, I do really recommend grabbing the nightly canary build of Edge for your personal machine, to keep an eye on new features, to keep an eye on the experiments section in the DevTools settings as well. That's really going to be the place to watch if you want to early adopt and try new features as they become available. And it's not just about trying features earlier, but also you're able to provide early feedback, which our team will use to iterate on and improve the feature before it's released broadly. And this is kind of reflective of a new way of working for the Edge DevTools team, this idea of iterating on features out in the open, starting with experiments in our insider builds before rolling out widely. And we really see that process as starting with listening to developers, understanding the pain points. Then we go build a solution, put it out to our early adopters, adjust the tools based on real user feedback, and kind of like rinse and repeat until the feature is great. And this is all, to keep at a pace that matches the sort of rapid evolution of the web, because I know it's changing all of the time. So a really great example of this rapid prototyping approach came with 3D View, a new feature in Edge DevTools, which allows you to visualize the DOM and CSS Z-index. This is really cool as a kind of visual debugging tool. I can zoom in, I can isolate elements, I can look at the layers one by one. This is an example of a feature that started as an experiment. We got feedback, we went and improved the controls and added new configuration options. And it's something that we're continuing to improve. We're thinking about how we can create more comprehensive and integrated DOM visualization tooling. So thank you to the many of you who are using this feature to debug your web apps now. Please keep the feedback coming, and we're excited to have you try this tool as we continue to improve upon it. So since we've been talking a lot about improved developer experience and making the DevTools a great place to spend time, it seems only fitting to share some things we're working on to allow you to further personalize the DevTools and help you be more productive. So one feature that we'll be releasing soon is the ability to customize keyboard shortcuts in the DevTools. This was one of the most upvoted feature requests on Chromium DevTools backlog, and the Edge team was excited to take it on. Custom shortcuts are great because you can set up the DevTools the way you want them, or have the shortcuts match other developer tools you use, like VS Code, so you aren't context switching as much. And here you can see that drop-down menu at the top right that lets you switch between the DevTools default shortcuts and the shortcuts you're familiar with in VS Code. And a future release will actually allow you to set up custom keyboard shortcuts as well. So our team is also exploring other ways to customize how DevTools looks, how they're laid out. And this is all about letting you focus on the tools and workflows that you care about the most. So speaking of highly requested features, this is another one. CSS Grid tooling is coming to Chromium DevTools. So excited for this. We'll be rolling this out in a number of small iterative releases that include things like improved on-page overlays. We will also be including the ability to easily identify grid items in the Elements pane, and also giving you these kind of like configurable views to zero in on parts of your grid layout that you need to debug, like columns, or if you just need to understand grid gaps better. And we'll also be looking at extending these tools to cover not just grid, but also Flexbox layouts as well. One thing I love about working on this feature is that engineers, designers, and PMs from both Google and Microsoft have been working side by side on grid tooling right from the beginning. And it's really amazing to take part in this cross-company sort of open source collaboration that is going to bring grid tooling to all Chromium browsers. So I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about testing. One of the more tedious but highly necessary parts of being a web developer is answering the question, does my site look the same everywhere? Meaning, on a variety of devices, browsers, configurations, operating systems, and assistive technologies. One upcoming DevTools feature will make it much easier to test how your site will look to users of Windows High Contrast mode. So here from the rendering tab, I'll be able to preview what my site will look like for users of high contrast mode without me having to actually be on Windows and change my OS to high contrast mode like I did earlier. We've also heard from you that accessibility and cross-browser compat is a huge challenge, so we're addressing that by bringing WebHint to the Edge DevTools. WebHint is an open source tool that aggregates best practices for the web from trusted resources like MDN and provides actionable feedback to help you actually fix the issues. Webhint can let you know if certain features aren't available in a given browser version, or if you're missing key accessibility requirements or other kinds of helpful feedback. And it provides information on how to actually fix the issues. Webhint feedback is surfaced in a new tab shown here at the bottom right called Issues, which collects relevant information and notices in one kind of centralized place without cluttering up the console. So the Issues panel is rolling out now, and Webhint integration will be available soon as an experiment in Edge Canary. Finally, we've also heard you ask for better network tools. We heard you when you said you wanted more visibility into the behavior of service workers. You want fetch event details like execution time and error information. And you want to be able to explore APIs and edit and replay network requests. So the network debugging experience is another place where we're looking to make some improvements through the same sort of rapid iteration approach that really feels right at home on the Chromium DevTools platform. So I hope you are as excited as we are about what's new and what's next for Edge DevTools. If you're interested to see other tools beyond the browser that help you develop, debug, and deliver awesome web apps, check out my other video on end-to-end web development tooling, which shows how Edge works great with other tools for remote debugging, automated testing software, VS Code, and more. And if you haven't already, please do go try the latest Edge and the new Edge DevTools. You can download it at microsoft.com/edge. Stay tuned to our Canary or Dev builds to get the very latest. These channels also have a feedback button directly in the DevTools, so you can send us ideas, thoughts, feedback. We really do read through all of it, and it's super valuable. You can also find us on Twitter at Edge DevTools. Reach out, let us know how you're liking the new Edge and the new Edge DevTools, or what we can do better. All of us on the Edge DevTools team really appreciate your feedback. Thanks for watching, and happy coding.